Hello everyone, I'm Azzurr, and this is Nuts and Bolts for the Aegis Eclipse concept cell. This will be a more comprehensive look into the Aegis Eclipse. I will cover its position within the verse, how it compares to others within its class, who the ship is and isn't for, and finally my personal verdict of to buy or wait to earn within the game. The Aegis Eclipse was launched in 2932 as the most advanced stealth bomber. It has been used as a border patrol and a covert first strike craft due to its enhanced sensor suite and noted stealth features. Like other Aegis crafts, it has multiple wing configurations like the Saber. For the Eclipse, this allows a few different roles, such as a stealth mode, extended atmospheric flight configuration, or they can be folded up for increased docking compatibility. Now the Eclipse is noted to be about approximately the same length as the Gladiator, but the width is about 25 meters, which allows it to fit on the Idris. At this time, I was unable to find any information whether that 25 meters is the wings folded up or extended. We can expect that the Aegis Eclipse will have a very limited speed and maneuverability, as it is powered using two unexplained Size 1 Stealth C engines and 4 thrusters on the top and 4 thrusters on the bottom. As for the survivability, don't expect much out of this, as it is only using 2 Class 1 shields, one on the front and one on the back. Your main firepower for this ship will be a pair of Class 2 fixed or a pair of Class 1 gimbaled on the wings. Within the center of the belly are hidden 3 Class 9 torpedoes. So the Eclipse's raw stat sheet is pretty lackluster for the most part, but really we have to look at the parts that aren't really talked about in the stat sheet to see where its real value lies within the verse. One of the most obvious things about this ship is your bread and butter, your coup de grace, the torpedoes on this ship. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this ship involving speculations of the torpedoes. Now, with item 2.0 coming out, there's been a lot of talk about potentially different classes for different sizes, such as a class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 medium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 large, but they explicitly said with the Eclipse on it that it will have class 9 torpedoes. Now, a good example for this is the Retaliator. The Retaliator is using exactly the same size 9 torpedoes, and it is stated in the jump point issue that this ship will be using the same torpedoes as the Retaliator. So now you have 3 Retaliator torpedoes on a tiny ship. Currently the Retaliator torps one-shot anything smaller than a constellation. Even if you do torpedo a constellation, it's like slapping a constellation with another constellation. Just think of like a ship firing 3 constellations and you get the idea of the Eclipse. So far against other bombers, the sheer firepower to this ship is only second to the Retaliator with having 6 torpedoes, and the Polaris with its size 10 torpedoes. The idea is even if you don't just blow whatever you have out of the verse and insurance says, sorry, we can't cover a ship that was sucked into the vacuum of space left from the black hole when you shot that much firepower at that ship, it will leave them confused and hopefully panicking, which is why I imagine a lot of fleets will have a nice amount of these just due to the sheer overwhelming power that a barrage of these could do as a first wave. Another part of the Aegis Eclipse is the unexplained stealth. Now, IR signatures haven't really done much for the Hornet Ghost so far, so I hope to hear from CIG on more details, because currently it's just like saying we need to believe in something that doesn't really exist and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm really hoping this is like the closest thing we can get to stealth and invisibility. Now, this is all currently theory crafting and hope, but right now the Retaliator is locking onto smaller ships around 8K with his torpedoes. So I'm hoping that the average ship can't see the Eclipse at that range, and that they honestly only really see torpedoes show up on their radar. If not, it will make this ship a lot harder and almost kind of useless, as you know, you'll detect it within that range and any fleet will scramble after them before they can launch their torpedoes. If it is working as intended though, as CIG stated, it will be one of the first ships that will actually have a more kind of true stealth. Lastly, CIG has shown wing configurations for stealth, and I hope they do use these configurations to add a extra stealth buff to it, so that there's a reason to use these wing configurations. The last part that CIG talked about this ship was the enhanced sensor suite, which is like the stealth kind of right now, unexplained. The idea of this system is to see before being seen. If the stealth works as intended in conjunction with the sensor suite, then it will be a killer combo for stalking and relaying fleet information. Now, they haven't really talked about where it falls within the lines of this sensor against, say, the Hornet Tracker, the Terrapin, or the Herald, but I doubt it will be higher than any of these, but I expect them to be very decent and computable. Come on, all these other ships have dishes that are larger than people, while the Eclipse has nothing. Now, it's all theory and speculation, but I do not expect it's going to beat out a dedicated tracker. So, the deadly combination of that first burst, and I say burst because you have 3 torpedoes and you're done, a quote-unquote stealth mechanic, and a quote-unquote enhanced sensor suite. I expect this to be great for large fleets that are looking for some great shock and awe firepower, or some smaller fleets that are looking to do a bit of watching. Now, I say smaller fleets looking to watch, and that's mainly because I expect these larger fleets to be running dedicated sensor ships, such as the Herald, the Terrapin, and the Hornet Ghost, and not using something that's subpar, 75% as good, or something like that. So if we're talking fam, where does the Eclipse actually stack against its current flyable bomber family? The Anvil Gladiator. We're looking at a small carrier dual-seater bomber that's sporting a decent spec sheet. We have 2 TR4 engines, 8 TR2 maneuvering thrusters, a pair of fixed size 2 or gimbaled size 1s on the wings, 4 size 5 torpedoes, a man turret featuring size 1s, and a larger size 3 shield. A relatively nice spec sheet for only $165. For a good comparison, it's important to see the price point difference, and with the Flight Ready Eclipse, it's going to be a $110 price difference between the Gladiator and the Eclipse. For the Eclipse, you will be gaining a quote-unquote stealth, 3 larger torpedoes, another quote-unquote enhanced sensor suite, while you're losing an extra seat with a secondary person, opting for 2 smaller size shields instead of 1 larger, and an overall less speed. I will go into further details on my opinions on these versus each other, but for now I'll leave it just to the specs. Now, my main focus for this comparison, coming in at the exact same price point as the Flight Ready Eclipse, how will it fare against its larger brother, the Aegis Retaliator bomber? At $275, the Retaliator bomber is packed with features. We're talking 2 TR5 engines, 1 size 3 shield, 5 man turrets with size 3 weapons, 6 beds, 6 size 9 torpedoes, a modular bay to remove that torpedo bay if you need, and cargo of 128 units. Like, wow! Our Eclipse is sporting that unicorn-style stealth mechanic, smaller silhouette target to hit, faster speeds, first strike abilities, and that mythical enhanced sensor suite. Compared to the Retaliator, you're losing beds, possible additional 5-man crew with turrets, which is honestly a blessing or a curse, 3 torpedoes, long-range capability, you're getting smaller shields, and you're losing cargo space. So now that we've gone through the specs of each one of those, here's a recap on it on a spreadsheet. So we've reached the point of where we talk about my personal thoughts about this cell. So, who will benefit from this ship? So this ship will be for the Advanced Tactical Corporation, with needing to coordinate to a more advanced degree multiple ships of these at a given time and rearming. It will take a corporation with an understanding of this ship. Large corporations should have the ability to also rearm this mid-battle, which will take the manpower to do so. The ship will also be for those who want to dedicate to this very specific fleet group. If you plan to fly a bomber of this type, then you need to be ready to fly with other Eclipses. You can't be flying around with a giant spotlight like the Retaliator or other bombers without the stealth ability within your wing, or your stealth mechanic is honestly pretty pointless. So all in all, you're going to be best friends with other Eclipse pilots. But who's the ship not for? Well, it's not going to really be for the lone wolf or the solo player. With 3 torpedoes only, and your other weapons might as well be potato guns, your limited speed and maneuverability, this ship is not going to be for those who don't have friends or those who are just starting. And I just don't expect this to be really good for players who have not pledged to another ship and are wanting to try to call this as your daily driver. With it being so limited on solo player abilities and specific role, it will not fill that full-time use ship, which means in your in-between times of using the Eclipse bomber, you're not going to really have anything to use for solo missions or solo player activities. This is also not going to be good for the smaller corporation. Now, it is possible to operate this with a smaller corp and running these for a large shock and awe, but the main issue I have to say about this comes from the limited amount of torpedoes. Its true potential really isn't going to shine unless you have the ability to rearm these and redeploy. Launching 3 torpedoes will be great for a quick little which is, it is a very viable option, but right after you launch those 3 torpedoes, if you don't have something such as an Idris or something that can rearm this, you're going to be going right back to a station, and without the ability to have a large jump capability, you're just not going to really get the most you can out of the ship. So what is my personal thought about this involving myself, right? We might as well ask that question. I made this video, so we might as well ask myself, how do I feel about this ship? I'll be honest, I purchased the ship on a war bond before the information came out about this. It's been about a week or so since it, but CIG has pushed out a little information about the ship, but I've been unable to find a use for the ship for my personal playstyle. I also have a Retaliator bomber purchased, and I find myself losing too much with the Eclipse for having it be the same price when you were talking about the flight ready version. We also do not know what will come out of item 2.0 in the cargo. A very, very important question in my mind is, with 2.0 coming out, is it going to be possible to store torpedoes in your cargo hold and rearm in space? It is just an idea, but regardless, I see the ability to have a fleet of Retaliators backed up by sabers protecting those Retaliators, while the Retaliator is just hammering those larger targets from range, and those extra 3 torpedoes with so much that damage that they do is going to be essential to having a larger damage output. Also, the idea of NPCs, which honestly we don't know how they will do, but with larger fleets I imagine you will have the UEC to afford to man those 5 turrets with the NPCs and sabers protecting it. That is my ideal large fleet bomber group. Now, I can imagine a covert Eclipse bomber group sneaking through and launching a first strike, but for my personal playstyle, I just don't see that. The second main reason I choose my Retaliator over the Eclipse mainly has to do with the modularity of the ship. It is noted by CIG that they will be able to replace that torpedo bay with something else, such as storage or medical or something like that. So the added modularity really plays to my playstyle of being able to kind of be what I need to be. So for it, I'll just stick to my Retaliator. Take it for the grain of salt it is, but I say, earn it in game. I will melt mine as soon as something else comes out, but I will get another one. I'll earn it in game. Thank you all for watching my first episode of Nuts and Bolts for the Aegis Eclipse. I definitely enjoyed making this, so I will probably make more once we get more concept sales going out. I'm definitely a lot quicker. This one, I didn't decide to do this until about 4 days ago, so yeah, thank you for watching on it. If you liked it, subscribe. I will definitely be making more of these for concept cells, and I'm going to try to make another series for Star Citizen, which will be called Loadouts, which will be kind of a look into currently flyable ships and loadouts that work for it. So my first one hopefully will be a loadout on my Saber. Thank you all for watching.